Good morning. Welcome to Grow Your Strength. This is week 3 of our program. We're going to start with rolling the hips and quads and then a bit on the back before we get into breathing. So if you have a foam roller handy, just ease yourself onto one hip. I like to think of this as right hand on the floor, supporting myself, angled into the right hip, and both feet can be on the floor, and then you just kind of sort of inchworm yourself back and forth to try and get in different angles of your hip. You can turn and go a little higher different ways. If you find a hot spot, you can offset your weight, shift, and try to get the intensity to be 4 out of 10, not too intense. If you want to get deeper into the hip, you can cross your right ankle over your left knee, and that pulls the hip into more external rotation angle, which gets deeper. So I like to get a sense of how one hip is feeling. 10-20 passes. If you have hot spots you want to work out, you could certainly stay there. But then I just come off the roller and put my hip on the ground and then switch over to the other side. You can get a little compare of how one side is to the other. So now I've got left hand, left hip, test the waters and see how that feels with both feet on the ground. And for my body, they're feeling fairly equal. I'll try the cross left ankle over right knee. And so that's good. But sometimes your body's reacting to various activities or lots of sitting or driving, and you'll find that one side is tighter than the other. So you would work a little bit more on your tighter side. And if that means going back to side one, so be it. Okay, so then the quads. I like to roll the quads one at a time. So I'm going to take the roller above my knee, and I'm starting on my left. My right side is angled out. So if I show you from this angle, this knee is on the floor. And so then I come down to my elbows. You could stay high if this was more comfortable. And then you start to inchworm from the top of your knee right up to the crease of your hip. And this is usually, a lot to cover in the quads. You can angle your leg and get the roller a little bit towards the outer aspect. And that can be fairly uncomfortable if you get to the tendon that runs down that side of your leg, the IT band. But try to find sort of a sweet spot that's more towards your quad. And don't avoid high in the hip like I did for about 3 years because it was uncomfortable. Learn my lesson. And then what about the inner aspect? You can turn the roller and get a little bit through the inner aspect. I'm rolling from my knee up to the inside of my hip. I'm offsetting the weight, going to a 4 out of 10, and I'm going slow. Okay. So there, I've explored that side. Now I'll switch over to the other side. Just above the kneecap, not on the kneecap. And then again, just going through those passes. We usually like to joke that sound effects are allowed. A lot of folks have quite tight quads. So breathe, try and not hold your breath anywhere near the intensity that would require you to hold your breath. And then let's go for that inner thigh. And if you're doing this tape, a little reminder that if your other side is tighter, you need to go back. You can always pause the tape and spend a little bit more time releasing. Okay, now the back, I like to roll gently onto the roller just above the lower edge of my rib cage. And then I'm going to support my head. Right now I'm just kind of hips on the ground, kind of getting everything equal. And then I lift the hips up and I ease the roller a little higher towards my neck, and then push into my feet and come down no lower than the edge of your rib cage. So don't roll down into your low back. Just keep the roller in the upper back. You can turn a little bit and weight shift to the left side and to the right side. See how that feels? And as you get more confident in rolling, you can certainly get a little bit more into the side and the armpit, but we won't do that today. Okay, so I did a check my back, didn't feel too bad. If you had really tight spots, you might want to hang out there a bit longer. Today, we're going to go into breathing. You have an option of going face down or face up, and I'm going to go face up today, just taking some time to align my neck and my shoulders, extend my legs out. You can have your hands to the side, palms up. Start to focus on your breath cycles, slowing down the pace, breathing in and out of the nose if you can. Just inhale, expanding through your abdominal cylinder and into your hips and privates. And as you exhale, everything just recoils. The air comes out and everything recoils. So no forcing anything, and just enjoy some nice slow breath cycles. And give yourself about 2 more full breath cycles, and then we'll come into half kneeling position. I was laughing to myself there because as we were doing the breathing, got the window open because it's quite warm in Vancouver today. And could you hear the sirens? It's like, that was unfortunate that it was timed perfectly with the breathing. Okay, so in half kneeling, supporting your down knee, take some time to level out your hips. Okay, this is a nice way to think about it. Pelvis level to armpit, and then just level that way. And then what about this way? But if you have a big curve in your back, you want to decrease the curve, tuck your hips under. Have your front foot wide enough that you've got a good base of support so that you can cross your arms and rotate away from your hips, turning and looking behind you, coming back to center. Take your time to have a deep breath, and then exhale, rotate the other way. So when I say away from your hips, I don't want your hips to turn with you, so the knee should stay stable. After a couple turns each way, we'll take the arms overhead today, spread the fingers, turn, and see if you can get a bit more out of your neck by looking a little further behind. Nice job. Okay, shake out those arms, and then we'll switch sides, go through the hip leveling again. Sinking into that hip, getting a nice tall posture, making sure the front foot is wide enough that you feel stable as you rotate. Deep breath, exhale. Taking your time through this rotation. Arms overhead, spread the fingers. Heather, I'm so glad that you mentioned you did the tape a few times this week, because really consistency is, where the magic lies. And, the workouts, the volume, how long it takes, what you do, it's all good, but it doesn't really matter. The consistency of what you're doing is where you're going to get some benefit and some strength gains and mobility gains. So well done. Frog rocks. In the frog rock position, you start on all fours. Take your hands a little wider and your knees a little wider than shoulder and hip width, and start to sit back into your hips. Then weight shift forward into your hands. What you want to try and do as you come forward is spread your fingers, make sure your hands are flat so your knuckles aren't kind of tented up. So just kind of work on flattening the hands, spreading the fingers. And as you come forward, you can experiment with taking more and more load through that whole hand. Sit the hips back without losing the low back curve, and then come forward again. Now let's take the weight and shift it over to one side. So I'm aiming my hips over to my right foot and then over to the left foot. I'll do that a few times, still coming forward and loading the hands and then deloading as I come back. Returning the hips to center, add some neck mobility. So sit back, gently turn and look over one shoulder. And as you weight shift through your hands, switch sides, turn and look over the opposite shoulder. Don't force anything with your neck, but be curious with your eyes. Maybe you can look a little higher on each side and a little lower. Transitioning out of this, we're going to go to the bridge position. And today I'm going to use a dowel for some overhead passes, but you could use a band. In the bridge position, your feet are hip width apart, knees are bent. You can adjust your back. So if you have a big curve in your back, just tuck under a little bit, line the chin. Make sure your head is screwed on straight, and then bring the dowel or a band overhead. Now you want to find a width with your hands on the dowel that you can easily get the back of your hands to the floor and the back of your arms to the floor. So often it's a little wider than you might want to be, but that's okay. With time, you get narrower. As you go through these passes, have awareness that you're not increasing the arch of your back or changing your neck position as you go. So often our brain says, oh, I want this to go to the floor, so I need to arch my back and contort myself. So don't do that. Keep everything set and reach. Take some time in the overhead position to relax the hands, spread the fingers. So you might need to let go of the dowel or the band and just roll the head to the left and to the right. Back to center, gently grabbing the dowel. Let's do one more of those resets. So I've opened my hand position, lengthening my fingers, rolling my head to the left and to the right. Wonderful. Okay, one of my favorite parts of coaching classes is to work on my knees and ankles. And so I use a stretch strap that has a loop around the foot. You can use a long stretchy band if you prefer, if that's all you have. And you can do it with nothing. Starting with the knee bends. So you pull your knee into your shoulder and then extend the leg up, trying to get a straight but not locked out knee. Your non-working leg can be bent or straight, whatever feels okay on your back. 3 to 5 of these moves and then move on to the next. So the second part of this, you hold the leg in a place that you can have knee extension, spread the toes, and start to really work the ankle through your range of motion. I kind of just work 3 moves and then slow, and then try to pick up the pace for faster moves. Rolling the sole of the foot in and out. This is important for mobility and balance. Not just this move, but all of our ankle moves. So I'm trying to find the end range of sole of the foot towards the midline, sole of the foot out, and my toes are towards my shin. Then I pick up the speed, get those ones in. Then I point my toes to the roof, swing my sole of the foot in and out. Could feel a fairly good stretch through the front side of your ankle, right up through your shin. And then what about some circles? Keeping the leg as still as possible. Circle around, a few slow, a few fast, and switch direction. And then let's add one for the hip today. I'm going to back off the leg, and then I'm going to turn the whole leg in and out. So this is like a window wiper. Turning out, finding external rotation, turning in, internal rotation. Okay, so that's, I've backed my leg off and I'm just working from my hip, kind of opening and closing. All right, so let's switch sides, go through the same setup, realign the posture, start with the knee bends. Give or take, we'll try and do the same sequence on this side. Holding the leg extended, start to work the ankle, spreading the toes. Nice deep breathing can continue in and out through your nose if possible. Sole of the foot in and out with the toes flexed to the shin. Toes pointed. Some big circles, keeping the legs still. Slow and fast, switch directions. And then back the leg off a little bit for turning the whole leg in and out. We start the next set with 2 double bridges and then 2 single leg. So setting yourself up onto your back. Take some time to level everything out. Make sure there's not a big curve in your back. Squeeze your hip muscles and lift up into hip extension. As you go through 2 of these, think about pushing your knees away, so towards my wall that's that way. Taking it into the single leg. 1 foot comes off. Keep the hips level. Lift up. Tighten up that hip. Down, release. Switching. Back to double. Push those knees away. Fully extend the hips. Go through about 3 cycles of this. The single leg is much harder. It's harder to come up, especially without moving your foot towards center. So that's something that I see a lot of. Brain telling you, I want to make this easier, and you move the foot to the center. But keep the feet nice in line with the hips. After your 3 cycles, we'll pull the knees into the shoulders for a little stretch. A little roll, if you like, side to side, kind of iron out the back. And now we're going into reverse tabletop crawling. So the knees float over the hips, fingers to the roof, but then anchor in your armpits and shoulder blades. Flex the feet and hands, and then start to crawl. It naturally feels like my head wants to turn a little to the left and a little to the right. So just go with that flow. Nice deep breathing. This is a kind of an individual one, how many passes you do and how hard this is for you to maintain this core connection is you've got to monitor that. When you're ready for a break, you pull the knees in again and just rest. You can relax your feet and turn your head a little left and right. And then prepare yourself to do it again. This time, perhaps you want to crawl with your hands and feet a little wider. And look at your fingertips as you bring your hand overhead. Maintaining breath. So if you feel the urge to hold your breath, then you perhaps have gone too far. So shorten up that. Okay, we're doing a get up bridge to the elbow in this program. So lining your posture, I've got my right arm up and my right shoulder anchored in or connected. Feeling my foot to the mat. I'll take a breath in and I'm going to roll to my elbow and then make sure my shoulder is not shrugged. My elbow is right. Feels good in that alignment, and I lift up and then come back down and roll away. Up to 3 per side. So now I'm realigning my connection of my core. Take a breath. It's an easy roll. Up. Try to tighten up your hips a little. I like to say I can't check that. So back down. Push into your foot of the bent knee. Easy roll. Wonderful. Switching sides. Okay. Line everything up. Easy roll. Looks great, Heather. Nice. Nice height. Lots going on with this. Through the whole core, through your hips, through your shoulder for sure. Okay, let's go through the first 2 again. So that was the bridging and the reverse tabletop crawling. So 3 rounds. A round is 2 doubles and 2 singles. Do you need to reset your posture? Going back into the doubles. Good. Pull those knees in for a little hug and give your back a reset. And then flexing the hands and feet. Slowly going into some crawling. Being curious with my eyes as I bring the arm overhead. Look at my fingertips. I'm trying not to bring the knee too close to the shoulder. So keeping the knees floating over the hips and not too high, right? Is going to use more of the core through the pelvis to keep everything stable. 1 more rest and reset, and then we move on. So here we go. Breathing, everything's nice and easy, letting my head roll, integrating my neck into a little bit of this core work. looking. It all comes together really nicely. Okay. So we're going to come to standing now and work on a little bit of body weight movement, and then we'll add the load. So finding a standing space, I like to go with my more firm mat. And today I'm going to take the hands into a W and just sit into a squat and reach up overhead. So we'll come down and reach up, spreading the fingers. And we'll do that 6 times. Just bring my screen up a little bit. Go all the way down, all the way up. That's a nice warm up for our first exercise, which is a squat and press on one side. Now, if for some reason you can't press weight overhead, you can keep the weight at the shoulder and just simply squat with the weight on one side. If you can do the weight, you squat and press long cycle. We don't really stop. We just keep going. 5 reps is the goal. You can always go a little more if you want to. Everything stays square. Feels good. Little check on the shoulder, first round. How does it feel for you? Excellent job. Exercise 2, plank push-up or combo. If you want to do this off an elevated surface, like a wall or a fireplace, you step back, get a nice long spine, tighten up your hips, pull yourself in, push away. Finding a number that you can do well. If 5 is the right number, then do 5. You never want to do a rep that makes your back feel vulnerable or that you lose the connection through the shoulders. There's certain foundational sort of postural alignment that you want to have in a plank, whether it's a plank push-up at an elevated surface or the floor. So always just be open to changing the number of reps based on you. Back to our squat and press. Aiming for 5 per side. Good. We'll go back to the plank push-up combo. I'm going to do this one from the floor. Heather's on the elevated surface. Looks good, Heather. Take yourself into your plank position, spreading your fingers and distributing the weight evenly. As you step back, tighten up your hips, align your shoulders so there's no shrugging. You could do a lower to the floor. Bend your knees, come back up. You could work on a mini push-up or a full push-up. Okay, you want to find that number where you can maintain your posture and your breath. We'll take a cat-cow break. So it's movement, but it's a little gift to our spine. Coming to hands and knees. As you round your back up, let your head be heavy. Consider tucking your toes and just gently pushing through all your toes. And then as you slowly go into extension, dropping your front side down, relax the feet. Look up. Can you drop your chest a bit more and work your shoulder blades together? What part of your back moves better than the others? So I've got some good mobility in my low back. And so I'm trying to go slow so I can feel more of the movement in my mid back, in my upper back, and my neck. I've tucked my toes again. You don't want to push anything too extreme. So if you feel like you are, then just go a little bit more gently. Can you drop the chest down and roll through the neck slowly? Give yourself one more cycle. And then we'll come back up to standing, and we're going to go with the strength set, new strength set, bent over row. And I will start with up to 10 reps of that. So with the bent over row, I'm going to use 2 dumbbells. I'm going to be in a slight hinge position, pulling the elbows to the sides, making sure I'm not shrugging into my neck. Up to 10 of these. That looks good, Heather. If you feel this in your back, please take a moment, stand up, realign your posture, and sit the hips back into a hinge. Complete your repetitions. Remember, those rep ranges are approximate. Second exercise, static lunge, up and down 6 times with the option of holding the load still. So I'm stepping back, getting good control of my balance. My back heel can stay off as I go up and down 6 times. My front foot is connected to the floor. As I come down, my knee is tracking right over my midfoot, and I'm being mindful that I'm not wandering in with my knee. Your knee can go a little bit more forward of your ankle if it feels okay. After 6 or so, because I wasn't counting, switch sides. Excellent job. Okay, I'm going to grab a little water, and then we're going to go into the extension reaches. Let's try the extension reaches today with our feet staggered. Take 1 step forward, sit back into your hips, bring your arms all the way back, and then swing your arms through and slowly lift the heels as you try to touch the roof with your fingertips. Now, depending on the control you have through your feet, this might be a quick thing. You might go slow. You want to try and go as slow as you can and bring the heels up. Hey, for some reason, you came off mute, so I'll put you back on. That girl. Okay. So about 3, and then switch your front foot. A little wider with the feet. Makes it wider feet, wider base of support. So now I've switched my front foot, and I'm lifting those heels using my calves. Reach, reach, reach. Can you get a little bit more out of your shoulders or your neck by looking up? Good stuff. All right, let's go through this set again. Started with the bent over row and then right into the lunges. Ask yourself, how are the weights feeling for your body today? Okay. If anything doesn't feel right, you either go body weight or decrease the reps, the weight if you can. So setting my back, pulling the elbows up, making sure I'm not in my neck, pinching my shoulder blades together, elbows finish at the sides, release. Up to 10 reps. equal on both sides. Good. Okay, now I'm going to do the lunges facing the camera. So remove that other foam mat and then step back, get control. I'm going to really feel through my toes. That's my focus for this set. Inhale down, exhale up. Thinking of my toes. My back toes are all bending, feeling them all out. Front toes are long and connected to the floor. Switching the front foot. There we go. 6 per side. Good stuff. And then we'll go into the extension reaches. This time, instead of the split stance, let's just have the feet a little wider than hip width. Reaching back. Going slow, so we're only going to do 3. Extend the body up. Reach those fingertips to the roof. If you have the control, you can hold this up position. 3, 2, 1, and bring it down. And then the last one. Work hard. Feel out your toes. As soon as I start thinking about my toes, especially my little toes, it's like my balance is challenged. Okay, standing hip hinge, weighted, if possible, up to 6. I'll use 2 dumbbells for my first set, standing in a tall position. As I sit my hips back, I'm breathing in. Exhale, come up. With the dumbbells, you have the option of opening the shoulders, rotating the palms forward at the top. This is just a bonus when you're using dumbbells or double kettlebells. As you come up, watch things like this don't happen, right? You don't want to collapse. So think about the foot connection. Inhale nice and strong as your hips go back, and then coming up through your hips, press them forward, squeeze your butt. Inhale back, exhale up, tall posture. 6 to 10 reps. Feeling that out. Second exercise is a halo. So I'm taking a 10-pound weight, bringing my feet right under my hips, nice and tall, floating my weight over my feet, bring the weight all the way around, trying not to lean to one side or back. As I bring this weight around, controlling my core. About 3 circles each way. I have a new love for this halo exercise lately. Train your core and secure your angel status at the same time. There we go. Smiling, optional. 3 each way, folks. Bicep curls are next. So finding a weight that you feel you can do bicep curls with, up to 10. I'm going to change this out just based on how my body's feeling for slightly lighter weights. Align my posture. I'm moving my palms. I'm rotating my palms from facing my hips to facing my shoulders. Watch that your knees aren't locked out and that you're looking straight ahead. Up to 10 of these. We'll hold the weights that we're using for the bicep curls and go 1, 2, 3, freeze. 1, 2, 3. So every third step, you're trying to just get control of your balance for a moment. Switching feet. This is a little different Then I've done this with the 1, 2, 3 freeze, big open position, no weights in the hands. We'll go for 15 more seconds, challenging the hips, a little forward, a little to the side, a little backwards. And last rep, set yourself up for some tricep extensions. Sit back into a hinge, kick those wrists back, fully extending the elbows, up to 10 reps. Form looks great, Heather. Should not be feeling this in the neck and shoulders. Okay, so as we go through this last set one last time, I'm going to change to a kettlebell for the deadlift. If you use dumbbells for the first round and that felt good, then go ahead. Options with a kettlebell deadlift, you don't have to go all the way to the floor. Okay, so if the floor is a big reach for you the first time, then as you come through the second hinge, you just go below the knees to wherever you can hinge and keep your back neutral. So I inhale as my hips go back, exhale as I stand up tall, find that posture, inhale, exhale. If you're lifting all the way from the floor, take that time to anti-shrug the shoulders, set the back, big breath in, finish the hips, and slowly lower with control. You should not feel this in the back, so the back is neutral the whole time. This is your lever right here. Good stuff. And I'm going to switch to a kettlebell for my halo. So I can take this kettlebell in a bottoms up position, find my foot connection, take some time to bring the weight around, maintaining that breath and tall posture. 3 each way. Just taking your time. More time under tension, more work for your core. I've been told that I only count when the, when the going gets tough. I think today's video is a very good example of why I've been told I'm a bad counter. Because I just like doing these exercises so much. All right, bicep curls. Okay, align everything. Knees are not locked out, so it's not this, right? You're not hyperextended in the knees. Feel out your feet, start to curl up to 10 reps. Equal on both sides, maintaining that posture. No curling or crunching of the toes. Long connected toes to the floor. My biceps are telling me that that's pretty much 10. 1, 2, 3, here we go. Quick change of the feet, a little balance, loaded today. So we have to react to that load in different angles. 10 more seconds. Last 5. And finishing off with our triceps. Sit back, get that posture just right as you work extending those elbows even on both sides. course, we count when the going gets tough. I want to thank you for building a stronger version of yourself with me today. Grow your strength. We'll see you again next week. I'll send the video out to you. Bye, Heather. Great to see you. Have a good day.